Hello and welcome to the second episode, but the first guest episode of season 2 of the Pints Podcast. There we go. That was a mouthful to say.
It was a mouthful,
and that was an unintentional segue into talking about you just shoving an ice bun onto your broken tooth and reminding me that we hadn't mentioned that you broke your tooth last night on the review/preview episode. So tell everyone what happened in Liverpool city centre last night.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. If anyone's watched the preview episode already rather than listened to it, you probably did notice the snapped tooth, which was caused by a very rowdy crowd at one of my gigs on Saturday night. Effectively, I was playing in a bar with no barrier.
You often have barriers.
Most bars have got a barrier, yeah, especially if it's a bar
to stop the crazed fans coming.
Particularly gets busy. It's
storming the stage.
I mean, I know you're saying that in jest, but it genuinely is to protect the musician from people who are pissed and dancing around.
Well, there was actually that video not long ago. Was it Cavern Club where someone actually got onto the stage and lifted?
Yeah, that was Jay Murray. There's normally a security guard on that step, and the security guard, for whatever reason, was not there, and some idiot just came up the stairs and pulled Jay's legs from underneath him. I do happen to know that after that fact, the fella ended up much worse off than Jay. So,
well, we're not going to that then, but we have digressed. So, what happened to your tooth?
So there were just it was a particularly busy gig, and there was a crowd of people dancing in front of me, and one fella fell over, landed straight on the mic stand, and effectively catapulted the microphone right at my teeth.
Yeah, but the thing that the burning question I have after this, after I found this out, was I want to know your reaction. Was it a diva reaction? Did you storm off stage, or did you power through like Dave Grohl with a broken leg?
No, it was right at the end of the gig anyway. So I had to stop when it happened because the mic was no longer at my mouth. It was down here after it clattered me in the face. So that song kind of stopped. And I was getting hounded for requests and stuff all night, and there were quite a few people. I wouldn't say I was a diva, but I did not want to be in that situation much longer. Yeah. And knowing that the gig was coming to an end anyway, I just finished the song I was playing and then kind of wrapped it up there because I had to run off to another gig at the other side of the town. Yeah, I just pulled the tooth out of my mouth. It was resting on my tongue. At first, I thought I'd broke the microphone.
Pulled more teeth out your mouth.
Yeah. At first, I thought I'd broke the microphone because I thought, my teeth are well hard, aren't they? So, I'm not gonna. And then I quite quickly realised it was actually my tooth that had snapped. So, as Sean says, pulled it out of my mouth, launched it into the crowd, and finished the song, and then cracked on. Went off to Lanigan's.
Cracked on.
Yeah, exactly.
An intended pun, or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know me, I'm a friend first, a boss second, and probably an entertainer third.
Yes. Yeah, very wise word. But anyway, on to what we have in store for this episode. We've recorded our first interview of season 2 with an up-and-coming artist he's on the cusp, I think, of very big things. He just signed to Peter Doherty, as he does tell us in the episode's label. He's also performed on stage with him, done a lot of work down in Margate, I think, is where the record label is. Might be wrong there. But yeah,
get well soon, Peter, by the way.
I think he has, hasn't he?
Is he okay now? Yeah.
I think he made one of his gigs, yeah, but
excellent.
He did spend a brief bit in hospital, but hopefully all fully recovered now. And yeah, he's worked with Noel Gallagher on one of his other tracks, and I think he mentions he's known for kind of his ballads, that type of music, but his new song, which we do discuss in this thing, is kind of an upbeat indie. It's like a catchy riff. I realised we've been talking about it for a long time and not mentioned his name yet. It is Andrew Cushin. So should we get into the episode?
Let's get him in. I'm looking forward to this one.
And we're joined this week by an up-and-coming singer-songwriter from Newcastle, fresh from the release of his new single, You Don't Belong. It's Andrew Cushin. How are you doing?
Hello, mate. How are you?
Well, brilliant. You, James.
Good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you giving us some of your valuable time.
Well, I mean, I've only been taking the dog for a walk, so it's not that
bad. In this way, I don't know what the weather's like near you, but I wanted to take a dog for a walk today. But...
it's not too bad by me, actually. It's all right.
You've got to be careful in Moorhouse as well, because if you say walk, the dogs tend to go like ballistic.
Yeah.
So they're only in there. So if you hear dogs starting to go rad, it's because we've mentioned walk too many times.
I used to do that when I lived with my mum. I used to wind her up and just say walk, or just say even words that rhyme with it would just wind the dogs up. And became the house pest for a while doing it. It was great fun.
We'll be careful not to mention the W word then in this interview. Yeah, but straight into it then. Fresh from the new single, as we mentioned, You Don't Belong. Tell us a bit about what it's all about and what's the reception been like since its release.
The reception's been good, to be fair. I'm always optimistic when I release songs, and you always want them to do well in radio and all that kind of stuff, but it is a tough grind. But I thought everything that we've done prior, the whole acoustic thing, and I know we've done the song with Noel, but even that's a little bit slow in parts, do you know what I mean? So I've always been known as that ballad acoustic type writer, do you know what I mean? So I just wanted to do something different, and You Don't Belong was written there's an acoustic version of it on YouTube of I sing it there how I wrote it sort of thing, so it's stripped back and it's a lot slower and stuff. But when we were in the rehearsal room with a band and we're trying to put it together, it just wasn't really working with the acoustic guitar. So it was my guitarist at the time who had the idea of like maybe sort of trying to indie rockify it up a little bit, and we worked out like a bit of a riff and stuff for it. And then the drums are quite like, you know, it's a lot of floor tom and stuff going on, so it's quite a bassy tune, and then you've got like the high end of the riff, so it is it's like an indie tune now, do you know what I mean, which is something that I've never done before. In terms of writing it though, it's the same old really, you know. It's quite personal lyrics, and then I always try to make my choruses maybe a little bit what's the fucking word where it keeps on repeating anyway, do you know what I mean? You've always got that kind of chorus to come back to, a bit of a hook sort of thing. So the chorus is repeated, I think it's like 3 times, and then the verses are quite as I say, they're quite personal sort of lyrics. But I'm pleased with how it came out. I'm pleased with how it came out, and people are starting to dig it, and I've had a lot of people say it's the best thing I've done so far. So I'm pleased to like it, because the rest of the fucking tunes are like that as well. Do you know what I mean? So if they didn't like it, they'd kind of be knackered. But it's good. It's a good direction. Hopefully, we're going to get some people dancing at the next few gigs and stuff, which will be good. It'll be different. It'll be good.
It's proper catchy, isn't it, the riff, which you just touched on then. I was going to mention sort of the change in, it is a change in sound kind of, isn't it, for you? And you have just hinted then that is the way it's going to sort of proceed going forward. So is it time to, are you leaving sort of ballady stuff behind? Because that's what's also made you popular at the same time.
Oh, no, we'll not be leaving it behind. It's more a case of we're just trying to open a few more doors. Listen, my fan base at the minute is a lot of fucking great people, by the way. I'm just going to stick that one. But, you know, we want to appeal to both older fans and younger fans, you know what I mean? And the vast majority of my fan base tend to be like the mid-20s to 30s kind of sort of demographic. You know, I've been going to these gigs, and particularly with the festival season and stuff, seeing loads of people jumping around to young bands, and I do want to bring a little bit of excitement there as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're going to try to appeal to a younger audience as well as the fans that are already out. So we have got a few ballads coming out. It's not like the end of that. Do you know what I mean? There's on the EP, I think the last record on the EP, that's like your typical acoustic ballad with a little piano riff and all that. That's like, sounds really good. And then the rest of them are, you know, your upbeat indie type songs. So hopefully when it comes to getting back to gigging, which isn't too long, you know, we're going to have, you know, the people dancing, and then we're also going to have the songs that people can stand back and reflect a little bit on, let's say. So we're just trying to make that even balance at the minute.
Yeah. You mentioned the fan base, which obviously I assume is UK, maybe north of UK majority, but something I saw a while back was you mentioned Italy was somewhere where you'd got quite a lot of streams. Do you know why that is?
So there's a radio station in Italy called Radio Fresher, which is I presume it to be their Radio X. That's the only way I can kind of describe it. But it's really big. And it was Waiting for the Rain. No one told us or anything. I think one of the scouts must have heard the song. And it was in their top 20. And it got voted for like their top 20 best single of the year. Like it didn't win it. But I think it was won by, some broken through artist or whatever. But that's when we kind of started speaking to them, and then they played Memories and they done Where's My Family Gone as well. In the streams that we've had through that are just ridiculous. Like the vast majority of streams that we've had for the likes of Memories and stuff have came from Milan and Turin and Genoa and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's mad. It's so we're hoping that they're going to jump on You Don't Belong. They've got the tune and they seem to like it. So we'll just see if we can get any success there. But I suppose it's good though, because it means that we might actually be able to sell a couple of fucking tickets in Italy, which would be amazing, because I've never been beaten at Italy or anything like that. So it would be great to get out there and play for them.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my questions was going to be based on that. Have you any plans to get out there and play a couple of shows over there? Anything in the works? Anything in the pipeline?
Well, there was talks of it and stuff, particularly last year, and then obviously with the whole COVID thing, it was just a nightmare to sort of travel. And I don't think things are 100% there just yet. Do you know what I mean? I still think they're a little bit behind sort of what we are. So it's just got to kind of fit the bill. And you don't want to just go over there on a whim. Do you know what I mean? It would be something along the lines of do a UK tour, and then as it's finished, maybe go over to Italy and do a couple of shows. Do you know what I mean? It needs that's going to fit the year that we're trying to have. But I'd love to, mate. I'd absolutely love to get over there. Like, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah, you could probably jump on a festival or something as well as gigs. Another big thing that's happened recently, obviously just before the single, was the news of the label, which is Pete Doherty's label, isn't it? What's that like for an up and coming musician? You want to have the right backing, don't you? So that must be quite special.
Do you know what we've been? I keep on saying we, but like I just mean like me and the team have been so lucky that we've had all these inspirational people behind us so early on. Do you know what I mean? We've had Noel, we've had good luck messages. I'm not going to sit here and name drop, but we've had good luck messages and stuff, and I've spoken to people.
Sit here and name drop. Sit here and name drop.
Please do. Click that.
Well, there's a few, man. There's a few. I've been around to Sam Fender's house and he's wished as well, and we got like some nice responses from the likes of Paolo Nutini and stuff, and obviously Pete and Noel and stuff have been. Obviously Noel sort of in particular has been around from the start, but so we're so fortunate and so privileged to have all these people behind us so early on. Do you know what I mean? And Pete's a great lad. Or Peter, as he's now known. The label is fantastic. I'm gonna, it's so. Obviously, I was signed to Virgin after the whole Noel relationship, and I think the issue with being at a major label like that so early on in your career is, you're way down the sort of pecking order. Do you know what I mean? So like the day that I had Where's My Family Gone come out, I think you had 17 or 18 other songs out on that label on that day by, major, streaming artists and stuff. So you were never really getting, it used to take a little bit longer to get in sort of touch with the office and stuff. So the relationship I've got with Strap is just, it's unbelievable. And obviously it's all thanks to Peter and Jai. They're both running a really tight ship, and I'm just pleased to be involved with the label, and I'm pleased that they're involved in my journey.
Yeah. And you've actually performed on stage with them, is that right? Was that before or after the label came along?
That was before. So the lockdown just ended, and we jumped on 3 shows, and we've done Newcastle, Derby, and Hull. And after the Newcastle show was when they expressed a little bit of interest. Why don't you come and maybe work with the label? And it was like a little bit, okay, well, we've all had a couple of glasses of wine here. Do you know what I mean? Let's not see how too hasty. But then by like the 3rd night when we were in Derby, me and Pete were backstage, and we spoke about it briefly after the gig. So we want to do a song together on the last night, and we've done High Flying Bird by Jefferson Airplane. quite pissed me because I'd done it at the end of his set. So I went on. I don't think I remembered all the chords. He definitely didn't remember all the words, but it did sound all right, to be fair. It was like a short little sort of snippet of it on YouTube, I think. But I think we did about get away with it, to be fair. The first half of the song was horrendous because we were just trying to keep time with each other. But by the finish, we kind of pulled it out of the bag. But yeah, it was great, man. I mean, who can say at the age of 22? I was 21 at the time. Who can say at the age of 21 you got to perform on stage with Pete? Do you know what I mean? Or Peter? Yeah. It's a ridiculous experience. Do you know what I mean? Again, it's just another thing to sort of tick off the list of mad things that are happening through music.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned as well, you don't want to name drop, but I'm going to bring him back up. You've worked with Noel as well. I want to know a bit about what that was like for you, because I imagine you were even younger then. So what was that like for you, and what was he like as a person to work with?
How did that happen first? How did that come about?
So obviously the relationship was documented a little bit better. My manager knew him from the early 2000s, and Noel's guitar went missing, and my manager found it and all that, blah blah blah. And they became in contact and became friends out of that. Now we're same with Virgin. We're done. It's going to get better. I'm waiting for the rain, and we wanted to do something not as acoustic, but still, just a little bit of a step up. And we got in touch with Noel, and we sent him the rough demo for Where's My Family Gone, and said, Noel, do you know any producers? And to everybody's amazement, he responded and went, fucking, I'll do it. And I was like, then he fell off my chair at this point, and I was like, right, hang on, that sounds class. We got the label involved. The label was obviously all over it. Spoke to his manager, spoke to his, all his team, all the rest of it. We got the studio booked. It wasn't just Noel on it as well. It was like he got the High Flying Birds involved. It was his session musicians, and it was mad. I remember like the running up to it, and I'd spoken to him on the phone a couple of times about kind of what I wanted and what I didn't want about the song. And I don't know if he's a guitarist or whatever. Train sort of music, whenever in the studio, the best thing to do is play into a click, which is basically the most annoying fucking metronome in the world. You sit with headphones on just to keep you in time, and I'd never done that before, so I was horrendous at that. So I remember being in the studio on the first day trying to keep time on the acoustic guitar when Noel sat like 2 seats away from us, just sat like clicking his fingers, like trying to keep us in time, with he had like a shake on his hand. So it was just mad. There's a great photo somewhere on my Instagram, and it's we tried something a little bit differently on the second day. We tried, we tried almost do it live, and it was a case of him playing the guitar and me singing, which was just on, like, that's something that I'll remember forever. Do you know what I mean? I'm fortunate my manager caught the moment on his phone, but I'm stood beside Noel with a mic, and I'm singing, and you can just see Noel sat on the stool just strumming away, and it was like, I remember getting halfway through Where's My Family Gone and looking down. I mean, we didn't use that version because my guitar was a little bit better, but I remember like, sort of looking down to him and just thinking, fucking hell, man, like how lucky am I here? Like, this is just unbelievable. And as a person, he was sound. He was he sat with, we spoke about my family, he spoke about his family, Man City, Newcastle, food, crisps. It was just do you know what I mean? He was just sound, man. He really was. He was like, it was just a mental week. But again, something I'm just so lucky and so privileged and grateful to have experienced so early.
Yeah. So are these people that you work with, are these people who've had an influence on you from your younger days as you were growing up musically?
Not so much Pete Doherty. Noel, yeah, I was brought up on, a cocktail of Oasis and the Jam. So I've always been a massive Weller fan and Noel. And then when you look into Noel and you find Weller, and then you find Bob Dylan, then you find Donovan, then you find Neil Young, and the list goes on, and you end up looking at some of the greats. So I've always resonated with acoustic lyricists. I suppose that's a good way to put it. I've always resonated more with the writer than the singer. So for me, Oasis, great. Like seeing that whole singing thing. Yeah, I can put Liam and Noel in 2 separate sort of spaces easily. Do you know what I mean? Because I resonate with the lyrics. Singing comes sort of second to me. I'm not too fussed about the singing. As long as the lyrics are good, then I'm fucking into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was always a big fan of Noel. I think I said to him in the studio, if it wasn't for getting into Oasis and your music, I probably wouldn't have picked up the guitar in the first place. So obviously to be sitting there it was a pretty mad thing, but it was good as well because I was able to, I wasn't in there to lick his arse. Do you know what I mean? As much as an Oasis fan I wasn't in there to sit there and no, can be your best pal. It wasn't a case of that. I wanted to impress him first and foremost, but I also got the opportunity to sit down, just me and him in the studio, and thank him, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had a record deal. I wouldn't have been doing music full time, and I certainly wouldn't be, here today. I'd be fucking on a building site somewhere, or in a dole queue, or do you know what I mean? In the pub, probably.
Yeah.
In the
pub. And nobody would blame you. But as you say, it's got to be one of the most surreal experiences in the world. And like you rightly said, you weren't there to kind of kiss his arse or anything. You're working on your song, and as you mentioned a second ago, you've got a phone recording of Noel playing the guitar to your song whilst you sing it. It's got to be some feeling, mate. It's got to be.
Oh, mate, it was ridiculous. And I do remember, because obviously Noel couldn't see us, he had his head down. I do think I did put my hands behind my back for it. I know I've just seen I resonate more. I definitely put my hands behind my back for it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So something I saw I think it was it was the Chronicle online, wasn't it, the other day? I'm hoping you've seen this, because they did. I don't want to kind of put pressure on you. Yeah, the next Sam Fender. So he's just scooped up Brit. I think it was the only fan voted Brit award. He's probably one of the best in India at the minute, especially in the UK. So what's that like? Is that pressure when you hear you're the next Sam Fender? Or?
Right, yeah, that's neat pressure, man. That's neat pressure. Listen, Sam's. I've had the pleasure of speaking to Sam a fair few times. As I say, I've sat and had a couple of cups of tea with him. We've chatted shit. I've met him at festivals, all the rest of it. Sam's a lovely lad. I haven't got a bad word to say about him, and he does deserve it. You know what I mean? I've spoken to him, about his uprising through music, and there's so many people that think this is just like a 1, 2, 3 year thing for Sam, and it really isn't. He's really grafted for it, man. He's really grafted for it, and I've spoken to people coming to my gigs now, and they'll go, I watched Sam Fender back in 2016. He was upstairs acoustic in a little bar, and there was 2 people watching him. And it's like, that's when you're fucking grafting. Do you know what I mean? That's the grind. He's like, so every bit of success he gets, I wish him all the best for it. He definitely deserves it. In terms of me being the next Sam Fender, there's no saxophone player getting in my band, mate. I'm fucking telling you that. Right? Much as I love Johnny. No. You've got to be original in this game, man. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be. There's no one wants to be. When I first started music, I was always wanting to be the next Noel Gallagher, the next Paul Weller, and you can do that as much as you want, but you're only going to go so far before you're known as a tribute act. Mine and Sam's music, it's not the same. It's not. Sam's got a fantastic producer, and I hear a lot of sort of the war on drugs, and there's another artist I was thinking of the other day that sounds a little bit like Sam. So he gets his influences somewhere different than I get mine from. Yeah. So I don't think the sounds will ever go the same. Of course, who wouldn't want fucking Sam Fender's success? Do you know what I mean? Or his bank card.
Yeah.
But in terms of being the next Sam Fender, nah. I just want to be the next me, man. That's all I want to be. I'll get there as far as I can with the whole Andrew Cushin thing, and then when I've reached the top, that's when you walk away from me. That's when you walk away.
What was class, mate? It's a class response. What
was the Newcastle scene like for you coming up in terms of playing? I imagine it's been given new lease of life, especially with yourself. There's quite a few artists at the minute. Obviously, Sam. I remember the Maximo Park early noughties kind of era, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But what was it like, sort of in between? I imagine you came at a time where it was relatively quiet to start off.
I only started doing gigs in 2018, 19. Do you know what I mean? Before that, I was kind of just playing football. I wasn't really interested in music. Okay. So the scene's definitely got a lot better, like a hell of a lot better. I think with the surge of Sam Fenders, to the top and all that, we're definitely seeing a lot more young bands come out. I think we're seeing a lot more artists and stuff. It's great to see, man. It's really good, it's so good to see everybody so close knit. I was talking to El Divine the other day, like the first time, and just sort of chatting to me on Instagram, and I thought, fucking hell, man, you're up there doing ridiculous bits with streaming and stuff, and you've got the time to talk to me because I'm a musician, and it's just great, man. It's good to see that whole sort of togetherness, and as I say, Sam's got a lot of time for a lot of artists. There's a band called the Pale White from Newcastle, who again I'll sit and sort of chat away with them. They're great lads. So it's good to see the northeast spirit of music, I suppose. But I definitely think we're on the up now. Yeah. I think we've got the potential to be, and this is a fucking quote for you, I'm going to say by 2025, I think Newcastle or the northeast in 2025 is going to be similar to the 90s in Manchester. I really do. And just in terms of, we're going to have the best music coming out. We've by far got the best accent, the best looking lads, and the best football team as well. So there you go.
Yeah, you might have won the Prem by then.
Clip that. Yeah, I think the football aspect of that almost certainly is well in the running, isn't it? With the recent investment. But let's not talk about too much about football.
Focus on staying up first, and then you can...
You don't have to worry about that. I seen more linked to Harry Kane in that today, man. It's just like every time I'm going onto my social media again, like in the mornings, it's just, you can't help but smile, man. Like I presume you definitely aren't Newcastle fans, right? But we do deserve it, man. We've went through shit for so long, like under Ashley, and the fans have always stuck by the stadium and always stuck by the players, and it's us and it's them that finally getting rewarded for that. So
I was happy for the fans to see you get out of the Mike Ashley era, definitely happy for the fans for that side of things, but I don't want to see any other Premier League team get major investment aside from United, really. the real United I'm talking about.
Okay.
The papers reckon you're going to nick Pogba anyway, but I can't see it myself. But,
it's like £500 a week, isn't
it? Yeah. So back onto music. We'll ask you the theme of the podcast now. The question we ask all of our guests. It's we ask if you could go for a beer with any three musicians, past or present. You've got the whole evening to ask them anything you want. Who's your first choice and why?
Right, well, you're going to want people that can go the distance, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? You're not going to want people that are like shooting off at 10:30. Are we saying now, or are we saying in their prime? Do you know what I mean? Because I'll say Ozzy Osbourne, not like in his prime.
Whatever, it's whatever you want, mate.
You can have him whatever era you want.
Go for a drink Ozzy Osbourne now. Do you know what I mean?
No.
You pick the person and you pick their era.
Right, okay, but I'm going to go for Ozzy Osbourne in his prime just because I think it'd be fucking ridiculous. And you know, for a fact, that's going to get very, very, very messy.
Yeah.
I want to see Ozzy Osbourne in his prime. Who else? I've had all day to think about this, and I still haven't really bothered.
Sometimes it's better though. We always say this.
It's always better off the cuff.
There was a Netflix documentary recently where there was a clip of Ozzy Osbourne. I'm not sure how true it was, but he was snorting ants, like a line of ants from the side of like a swimming. Have you seen it? No.
You know what I mean?
I've not seen it.
How could you not be entertained by that on a night out, man?
Yeah.
Half of my mates are like that as well. It's mint. It's just unreal. I feel like half the people in Newcastle are like that. Right, so Ozzy Osbourne. Who else can we go with? Let's have a think. I'm going to say Mark Knopfler, actually. There's one for you.
Yeah, we've not had Mark before, have we? I don't think. I can't
imagine you would have had him. Just because I want to sit and talk his head off about guitars and steal some riff ideas so I can get Newcastle walking out to one of my songs one day. That would be pretty special.
There's a video on YouTube of Mark Knopfler kind of explaining his approach to playing guitar. Right. Which is just fascinating. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen it, but I'm having a little look through it.
He probably knows a lot more about music theory now than he did, certainly at the time of writing it, but at the time of recording that video. But he was basically saying, I don't really consider music theory. I don't think about it. I see the guitar almost like similar to like how Dave Grohl approaches it. You've got your snare, you've got your bass, you've got blah blah blah, and he talks through his approach, and it's have a look at it. It's called like Mark Knopfler on guitar or something like that. I mean, don't put that because you're going to get every video under the sun. But
it's interesting though, because when I interviewed the Lavums guitarist, he said his biggest inspiration was him, and it was like he thought that Mark Knopfler was one of the most underrated guitarists in the world. He was like, no one really speaks of him.
He's like our Johnny Moore, isn't he? Really, he's like Newcastle's Johnny Moore. He kind of just invented that sound for Newcastle. So yeah, I'm going to say him, and I'm going to say Jarvis Cocker as well.
Okay.
I've been banging to pulp again, actually. But I'd love to. I was just talking about sort of lyrics and stuff before. I'd love to break down some of his lyrical approaches because there's one or two CD songs by Pulp. But,
Yeah.
but I'd definitely find out the inspiration for some of them. Or maybe I wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I wouldn't because a lot of it's quite built, isn't it?
He's had a few moments as well, hasn't he? In the I think he did. Was he the one on the Brits who moonied? Was it Michael Jackson or someone? I think he's done something. So it sounds like you've got an entertaining night going.
Yeah. Where are you taking the three of them? Where are you all going?
Yeah.
What kind of bar or pub?
I'm going to take them to the Black Art and the town. Nobody not going to have a clue, right? But if you just Google the Black Art, it's one of the most horrendous bars in the world. But it's brilliant. I was in there last night, and I was like, I think it was called like Mental Mick, and he was like, got on stage with a mustache on, the wig, and just started raving. And it was like 4:30 in the afternoon. And it's
got it.
Take all three of them to the Black Art.
I'm already thinking of that video that went the viral video where it's like one of the worst pubs in England. It showed, and there was like people. Have you seen it with all the random characters?
It looks a bit like that. To be fair,
that's how I'm imagining it from the description. But yeah, no, you're sorted. We'll take the three of them. I think all three. No, Ozzy's been chosen before, but the other two haven't. So there you go. Before we go, what's in store? You've touched on an EP. Is there maybe an album around the corner for you?
So the album, I have virtually written everything on it, but of course I've written everything on it. It's my fucking album. But the album's pretty much finished in terms of writing, do you know what I mean? I think it needs a couple of tweaks, and we do need to maybe put together a little bit of a fixed set list. But we're going to start the recording for that hopefully early next year, or by the end of this year. So 2023, fingers crossed. I've got a massive tour to announce pretty soon. I think that's for October. We've also got my biggest headline to date as well in Newcastle. So that's going to be ridiculous. So I think we're announcing that in March. And obviously, as you said, we've got the EP as well, which I think is coming out around about April time. And then obviously more festivals and stuff to announce. We've just had a couple more put forward today and yesterday as well. So we'll get them announced. And obviously we've got the gigs with Noel Gallagher as well. They'll be good. Hopefully we can get back on tour with Pete and the Libertines. It's going to be quite a busy year, mate. I just can't wait to get started again, man. Can't wait to get started.
Yeah. Have you got any festivals lined up as well for the summer?
We have, but I couldn't possibly tell you off the top of my head.
I've always got to try.
That. I just play where I'm told to play. Do you know what I mean? Like the day before, like you've got to go to like Bristol tomorrow morning. You say, "All right, I sound next one."
Yeah.
Love
That's
that.
the way to go. Yeah, but thanks very much for your time. Thanks for coming on. And obviously, best of luck with the new releases. If it's anything like You Don't Belong, I think you're in for a good year.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you very much.
No worries. Right, cheers.
Your class, mate. Thanks so much for your time.
See ya.
Cheers.
Yeah, so that was our first guest from season 2, Andrew Cushin. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you've not heard him already, it's definitely worth a listen to some of his stuff. I think he's got about five singles out now, and especially go and listen to his new one, which is his first work with Peter Doherty. You may have noticed that it looks like I've apparated, so using a Harry Potter term, from place to place throughout this interview. But sometimes we do record stuff at different times. James and I have James has busy schedules. It's probably easier to say.
James has a 2-year-old daughter.
That's the important. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it was a pleasure to speak with Andrew. We wish him all the best. Power to him. That's my
Why do you keep saying power to?
It's going to be my catchphrase for season 2.
No.
It rolled off the tongue when talking about Lauren Hibbard in the season 1 review, and I quite liked it. So power to it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you have that. For now. And then, we've got lots more guests lined up, as we alluded to previously. We're going to try and get people from all sorts of fields, so not just musicians, but plenty of musicians also lined up. Maybe some radio DJs as well. Again, propelling careers. But no,
we do propel DJs' careers.
No, that's not true. But if you listen to the previous episode, you'll understand why we're talking about it. We've last season, we said we were going to do one every Thursday. This season, we're saying nothing. Nothing. So it's that they come out when they come out.
Big guests, small promises.
Indeed. So we'll see you for the next episode at some point in 2022. No,
Well,
it will be.
Well,
it will
that's
be
a
soon.
promise.
It will be soon. It will be soon. You can follow us on Twitter at Northern Chorus.
Ah, yes, the
Follow
plugs.
us on Instagram at Northern Chorus, Facebook Northern Chorus UK. There's currently a headphone giveaway on the website, so you can go on there. You can also, as well as listening on all platforms, you can actually watch these on YouTube if you want to. Unfortunately, look at us too. Done.
No one's forcing you to. Listen on Spotify if you want.
Yeah, I think that's probably for the best. But yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye for now.